Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Japan and we're going to revisit a brewery who you've seen me review a good number of things from, but it's been about 6 months I think since I last reviewed a beer from them, and this is one of their limited editions and I'm very curious to see how it turns out. So for this one we're going to return to Numazu in Shizuoka Prefecture, which is very close to Mount Fuji, and we're having a taste of another beer from Baird Beer. This one is the Hop Havoc, which they're describing as an Imperial Pale Ale, coming in at 6.5% ABV. This was yet another beer that I picked up from liquor shop Asahiya in Taishibashi Amaichi here in Osaka, and Koji told me that this was one that is really quite popular, so I'm guessing that means it's pretty damn good. So I'm very curious to see how this one turns out, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. I always enjoy reviewing different beers from Baird because they seem to do the different styles from all across the world pretty damn well, in fact, but they seem to retain that kind of Japanese drinkability about their beers, so really curious to see how this particular one turns out. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Baird Beer before. No doubt I will add some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Japanese beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Baird Beer then. So as I mentioned to you earlier, Baird Beer are from Numazu in Shizuoka Prefecture, which is near Mount Fuji in Japan. And this is a city that's well known for its countryside and also for its onsen hot springs as well. But the company is led by American Brian Baird along with his wife Sayuri, and it was founded back in 2000. So it is one of the more established craft breweries here in Japan. But Brian had attended the Johns Hopkins University and he took part in a Japanese studies program, and after that he did some work for an American firm in Tokyo, and while he was there he noticed that G-Biru, or local beer basically, was getting much attention in Japan, and he'd always been interested in beer. Later on he attended a brewing school in California, and then he completed an apprenticeship at the Red Hood Brewery in Seattle in Washington on the west coast of America. But they decided to choose Numazu for their brewery because Brian's job with brewing equipment took him there, and he says that now they enjoy the soft waters of the area. When you're brewing craft beer, you really do want your water to be as mineral free as possible. But apparently much of the G-Beer in Japan wasn't great, despite the fact that it was booming in the late 1990s. Many of these breweries in fact did shut down because people just weren't interested in their beers. But Baird really wanted to introduce beers that were quite different, and they produced a lot of different styles as a result of that. After their beers proved to be really popular in Numazu, they expanded their brewery and started selling beers in Tokyo. And they now have several tap rooms. This includes the original one in Numazu Fish Market. They also have one at the new brewery in Izu as well, but they've got pubs in Shibuya, one in Harajuku which does the Japanese food, and they've also got another one in Meguro as well which is called Nakameguro. It does beer and pizza, and they've got some other couple of ones as well in Yokohama from what I remember. There's the Bashamichi which does American slow grill, and I think they have another one as well if I'm remembering correctly. I'm sure there was only 3 or there was 4 or 5 of them actually, but they have been expanding a little bit over the next while, and over the last little while, and expanding the different beers and stuff like that they do as well. They've got a whole host of different styles. So in their year-round range, they've got the Single Take Session Ale, the Wheat King Wit, the Shuzenji Heritage Hellas, the Numazu Lager, the Rising Sun Pale Ale, Wabi-Sabi Japan Pale Ale, the Red Rose Amber Ale, Angry Boy Brown Ale, Teikoku IPA, Sugura Bay Imperial IPA, the Shimaguni Stout, and also the Korofuni Porter as well. And they've got several seasonals and one-off as well, and this is where this beer comes in fact. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Baird Beer for the moment. So yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more, you can check out the brewery website, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that as well. So yeah, let's go on to the actual tasting of this beer as well. So the last bit of my notes, just to tell you about the stats of this beer. This one is a 6.5% pale ale. You might be saying, yeah, that's a little bit heavy for a pale ale. They're describing this one as an Imperial Pale Ale. The difference between the IPA and pale ale, of course, is the hop to malt ratio, which there's more hops and malt in in an IPA than there is in a pale ale, so bear that in mind. This one is kind of, the pale ale is a little bit like the little brother of the IPA, but this particular beer is hot with Columbus, Citra and Cascade, and it's got a malt base of Maris Otter and Carahel, and apparently it uses the house Scottish ale yeast strain that they have, which they use in their Scotch ale as well. You did see me review their Scotch ale at one point in the past as well. But yeah, that's all you need to know about the beer. Let's get on to the actual tasting of this one as well. Just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. I have to admit, I've always complimented Baird Beer on the artwork that they have in their beers. It's almost like the old Japanese kind of wartime artwork that they have in their beers, and I really like this. In fact, their bottle caps are always good as well. I've got loads of these at home, so I don't need to keep this one. It says on the side here, Hop Havoc Imperial Pale Ale, Hop Havoc, Hop Madness, Hop Orgy. It's hoppy. And it just says on the other side, Baird Beer is unfiltered, re-fermented in the bottle, and naturally carbonated. It is live and evolving, and it's best before June of 2020. So I'm guessing that this one is fairly recently bottled, because I'm reviewing this one for you on the 5th of July 2019. I'm not sure exactly when you guys are going to see the review, but let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Nice little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass. Yeah, you can smell some of the nice notes from the Centennial on this. This one's going to be a pain and have a big head on it. Yeah, that's one of the things I hate about bottle conditioned beers, is that you always get these big massive heads on them. But yeah, we'll just kind of go with that for the moment. We'll let it die down a little bit. But as you can see with this beer, it's poured quite a nice, if I hold it up to the light, this is actually quite a nice bright yellow golden straw colour. I'm not sure how well you're going to see that in the video. I think it's coming across as more of a kind of amber colour. It is quite hazy. If I put my fingers behind the glass, it is a fairly hazy beer, this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there, and you know, nothing particularly surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is a pale ale. There's a solid 2 and a bit fingers of a frothy, I would say creamy coloured head on this one. That's going to fade away a little bit the further that we go into the aftertaste. It's just a bit annoying how big that head is, but again, that tends to be what happens when your beers are bottle conditioned like that. But yeah, I mean, overall, nothing particularly surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is a pale ale. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. So yeah, some of the kids just out there coming back from school. So yeah, with this beer, straight away, what you're going to notice about it, there's a good presence from the Centennial coming out of this one. I've always found that Centennial is a nice sort of lemony, citrusy hop, and you can get some of these really nice lemony and floral aromatic notes out of this beer straight away. It's almost just got a little bit of a spiciness to it as well. Or was it Columbus that's in this? But to me, this beer, regardless, Centennial is usually the hop that has a little bit of a kind of lemony quality to it. But it does have a nice big floral spiciness to it as well, which again is something that you expect of of Columbus. Columbus normally is used as a bittering hop, and you can really pick out that kind of quite dark floral aromatic dankness to the beer. At the same time, there's a nice little bit of a kind of mango tropical fruit quality to this one as well, which comes from the Citra, and there's a nice bit of a darker, there is a good bit of a kind of darker grapefruity quality to this beer as well. Let's see if we can get the rest of this in without it going crazy. I think we're going to have a bit of luck here, yes. Yeah, there we go, look at that. Nicely done. But yeah, this one, it does have a nice little bit of that darker grapefruity quality out of it that you would expect of the Cascade. The Cascade is a bit of a kind of, you know, it's the kind of daddy of all the hops, if you like. The Cascade was the first one that came out of California, the Yakima Valley back in, Washington. Yakima Valley's up in Washington. My brain's not working today. Yeah, the Yakima Valley up in Washington State, and a lot of these breweries down in California were really just latching onto that and using it, Sierra Nevada and all the other things. It's a very, very distinctive hop. One of my local breweries, the the Harveston Brewery, their Czech Pilsner beer that they do uses the Cascade hop in it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I can detect this hop right away. I mean, the Cascade really jumped out at you, this one. Nice bit of a grapefruit undertone, that nice little bit of a lighter grassiness in there as well. Nice notes of a kind of mangoey fruit from the citra that's in this one as well. You can pick out a little bit of the lychee gooseberry notes that come as complexities of that as well. Good little bit of a kind of floral aromaticity to the beer as well, which comes from the Columbus bittering hop. Underneath that, you can pick out, you know, there's a little bit of a German smoothness to this one. You know, they're using Carahel in there. If I remember correctly, that one is that one's a nice Vermin malt, so it has that typical kind of German smoothness to it. You know, it's got that nice big kind of bready note in there, which I really, really like. And you can also pick out these nice sort of biscuity McVitie's digestive notes in there as well, which is really, really nice. So yeah, this beer kind of has everything you would expect of it. It's got that nice sort of light, almost crisp note out of it. It does have a little bit of an almost Pilsner quality in the aroma as well, which is kind of really interesting, to be honest. So just pay attention to that aroma a little bit before you actually taste the beer. You're going to get some really interesting things coming out of this one. But let's have a taste of it and see how we get on. This one is the Hop Havoc Imperial Pale Ale, coming in at 6.5% from Baird Beer in Numazu in Shizuoka Prefecture, down in Japan, next to Mount Fuji. Let's get stuck into this one then. Slanja Skål Kampai. That's pretty nice, I have to say. It's interesting. I mean, one of the things that I've always said about Baird Beer, and it's one of the things that's always impressed me about them a little bit, to the Japanese, beer is something really to kind of clear your throat with. It has to be drinkable, it has to be crisp. Baird Beer have always seemed to kind of toe that line very, very well. They've always managed to keep that element of Japanese drinkability in their beers, but they've managed to get the American flavours in there. And again, this is one of the beers that really shows that. Probably this one more so than some of the others, actually. And honestly, this is one as well. When I've been to Germany recently, I've been trying a good number of the German IPAs that are coming out. Germany, of course, is a country that has a very long traditional brewing culture, and it's a very interesting time as well, because a lot of these brewers are now starting to turn their attention to the likes of the IPA and stuff like this. And it's interesting to try these traditional brewers trying a new American style. This beer actually really reminds me of some of the German IPAs that are coming out there. And to be honest, it is just the way that the malt base and the hoppy side of this beer are interacting. It's an interesting thing to come across that, in fact. And I did have this little moment with a beer from, I want to say it was Maine actually, Maine Beer Company, their Lunch IPA. This one really reminded me, that particular beer really reminded me of some of the German IPAs, and this one does as well, to be honest. Because the Germans really love their big malty IPAs, and this one is coming across just like that, in fact. So yeah, let's try and break this flavour down a little bit and get a proper in-depth tasting of this thing. So with this beer, straight away you can feel that nice white bready quality just blanketing the middle of your tongue. On top of that, you're getting a little bit of there's a little bit of a grainy quality in there. The further you go into the aftertaste with this beer, the more of that kind of grainy quality just pushes its way out. In the very centre of your tongue, there's a little bit of a richer caramel, and then as you move further out from it, there's a little bit of a kind of biscuity note in there too. It really reminds me of these kind of McVitie's digestive biscuits that are very popular back home in Scotland actually. But the German smoothness, that I like to call it the Brauhaus smoothness. Some Germans might laugh at me for that, but this beer really has that nice bready smoothness, and that'll be coming from the Carahel, which I do suspect is a Weirmann malt, and the Weirmann malts from Bamberg have this, you know, really distinctive smoothness to them, and that's coming out quite nicely. in this one. In fairness, with the malt base as well, it does have a little bit of crispness too, which comes across very, very nicely. In the back corners of the palate, there's a little touch of earthiness there, and as you come further forward from that, you get a little touch of a herbal quality, and then right towards the front corners of the tongue, it's a little bit more floral and spicy, and that's the Columbus. It really has that distinctive Columbus spiciness to it, this beer, which works out quite nicely. Yeah, this beer's got a lot of really interesting things going on in it, I have to say, so thumbs up to Baird Beer for this one. This is quite a bit different actually from some of the other stuff that I've had from them before, mainly because of how, big the malt base feels on this one actually. This one's quite a bit thicker, I think, than some of the other beers that I've had from them before, but at the same time it does retain that element of sessionability about it. So yeah, something a little bit different from these guys at the same time. But yeah, around the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy. And behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And for me, if you go towards the back of that oily bubble, it's grapefruit, it's the cascade pushing its way out. There is a little bit of a mango note in there for me, but remember, Citra can also give you some of these Citra really can give you some of these grapefruity notes as well, and it's a very strong, quite dark grapefruit flavour that you're getting out of this beer generally. As you come further forward, it fades away a little bit, and maybe on the very tip of the tongue there's a little bit of sort of gooseberry sort of lychee type thing coming out of this one as well, but mainly it's a nice dark grapefruit flavour that's coming out of this one. So in a lot of ways this beer actually does remind me a little bit of the old Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and maybe to some degree the Torpedo as well, because the malt does have a little bit of a bigger presence to it, but in some to some degree as well it really does remind me a little bit of the German IPAs that I've been trying quite recently as well. So just bear that in mind when you try this one. This one's got an interesting combination of flavours, and it's certainly going to keep you on your toes. Yeah, I really like how this is going together. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. It's almost a little bit just like a Japanese version of the Sierra Nevada Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, to be honest with you, but it's just got a bit more of a German malt base to it, and I really like that. I enjoy my traditional German beers. That's where my whole love of craft beer began, in fact. So big thumbs up to Baird Beer on this one. It's a little bit different compared to what I've had from them before, and it shows them being just a little bit more adventurous with what they're putting out there. It does retain that typical drinkability that you need in Japan, but it's just a little bit thicker in the malt base compared to some of the other ones that I've had from these guys before. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say that this beer is quite mid-bodied. Carbonation has a little bit of crispness to it. You've got a good little bit of bitterness to this beer. I would say you're talking about 40, maybe about 50 IBUs in this beer. Malt base has a really nice smoothness to it. There's a little bit of sweetness in there too. You can pick up a little touch of the booziness in there as well. That'll be coming from there's not too much in the way of a caramel presence to this one, which can cover some of the booziness of the beer a little bit, but it does have that nice blend of smoothness and sweetness from the malt base. Big hoppy bitterness, like I said, and also some fruity notes in there, but it's quite a dark tropical fruit that comes out of this one rather than being juicy and sweet. But overall, a really nice beer. Overall, I would describe the mouthfeel of this one, as being quite sweet, but also a little bit oily at the same time. Not as crisp as some of the other Baird ones that I've come across before, but regardless, a really quite nice beer, and I was glad that I was able to review this one for you, because this is, like I say, a limited edition from Baird Beer. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one's been a little bit of a kind of whirlwind review. I had to turn the aircon off to do this one, otherwise it would be buzzing throughout the whole video. So it's a little bit hot in here, and we'll finish the review up at that. But I hope you've enjoyed my take on the Hop Havoc from Baird Beer. This has been an interesting one to review, a little bit different from what I've had from them before. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Baird Beer as well, and I really hope that I can review more from these guys at some point in the fairly near future. I need to go through the list and check what it is that I actually still need to review from them, because it's 7 or 8 reviews now and Koji seems to have a few of the beers all there. I think I need to try, I think in Sweden now, their Wheat King Wit is a regular, so I'll need to see if I can get a hold of one of those and review it for you as well, because that's one that I haven't tried yet. But this one was a really nice beer, cool to get a hold of another one of their limited editions, and we will leave it at that just now. So this one, the Hop Havoc, an Imperial Pale Ale, it's 6.5% from Baird Beer in Numazu in Shizuoka Prefecture here in Japan. A really nice beer, this one, that reminds me a lot of the German IPAs that are coming out these days. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys soon. Make sure you check out my social media, let me know your own thoughts on this one, and I will catch you guys soon with more Baird Beer reviews. Slange, Skål, Kampai.